Welcome back mga katala, and as promised to all of you, we will be inviting guests who would be helping us in keeping ourselves physically, mentally, and psychologically well, especially during this crisis. And today, our resource speaker for this week is actually a prolific educator and a renowned servant leader. I'll be giving more of her background in a while, but I can't wait to introduce her. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Leia Janice Remata Sikat Reyes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here this afternoon. Hi, Rodel.
Hello,
Or
how are
Sir
you?
Rodel. He's a friend, that's why I don't call him Sir. So, hi, Sir Rodel.
Okay, so how have you been doing since day one of this pandemic?
I would have to admit it's not easy, and I know that a lot of us are having our own share of struggles, but I think that's why our topic is very timely right now, because we're talking about how to cope with the so-called new normal. So we're hearing a lot about new normal, so it's something to be talked about because not all have adjusted to it. Certainly I still have my own struggles and battles, but we're getting there.
That's right. And mga katala, a lot of us teachers can relate to this because Miss Leia, you know her background. She actually placed fourth in the licensure examinations for teachers in 2004 and took her master's degree in guidance and counseling from Silliman University. And so we would like to get her inputs or her opinions, her advice for us teachers in coping with this. So first and foremost, let us ask Miss Leia, what's with the term pandemania? Am I pronouncing it right?
That's right, that's right.
Pandemania.
Well, we've been talking about the pandemic, COVID-19 basically, and how this has caused so much mental struggle. A lot of people have been saying that the second wave is not just the physical aspect of the virus, it's really how it will affect the mental part. And that is true both for teachers and students. That's why we're pushing that word pandemania, because it's real, it's happening, and it's okay to admit that you haven't really adjusted to it well. That's the first step towards getting the help that you need. So that's what the term is all about, basically.
Okay, so basically our topic is pandemania, coping with pandemic-induced isolation and uncertainty. So we have the incorporation of two words here. We have isolation and uncertainty. So may I ask how do these terms really affect or contribute maybe, or how do they play? What roles are they playing?
Now, in research across countries, these are the two things that really come out. There are so many struggles in terms of mental health because of the pandemic, but these two words, isolation and uncertainty, are the ones that are often repeated. So if you put them in umbrella, isolation is one big chunk, and uncertainty is the other one. And when you put these two together, it's really a potent mixture that can trigger a lot of anxiety and depression. That's why we really have to talk about it. And in our culture, in the Filipino culture, we tend to, shrug all these concerns off. But it's something that we have to talk about because we are affected as teachers. And since we are handling kids who could also have that, it's so important that we are in touch with ourselves first, so we can help the kids next.
We really have to talk about it. So we have first uncertainty. All right. Ms. Lay, I know you have been reading a lot of articles, you've been listening to a lot of talks and watching a lot of vlogs. May we at least inform our co-teachers there might be some casual things or casual moments, but these are already the samples of uncertainties. So what are some basic examples probably of these uncertainties?
Well, if I may, I just really want to be able to connect. Usahay bitaw, kanang uncertainty, when we talk about uncertainty, kanang takabalo what's going to happen next. Like, it's very simple. For example, muklase ba in August? Unsa ba ang mode nato of instruction? ako, I'm from the private sector. Ang pangutana sa amo, ang source sa among anxiety is, naa pa ba may trabaho? You know, I'm not sure if you can relate to that, but that's something that we're struggling with in the private sector. So there are so many reasons why we are facing so much uncertainty, and this causes anxiety and depression at its worst. So there are so many questions left unanswered, and those are the basic examples basically of uncertainties that we're facing.
I will not jump immediately to possible how we could possibly address them. Instead, I would go to isolation. So, isolation in this context is
Well, since we still have, I don't know actually what we have. I think we have modified sort of GCQ, but sort of modified GCQ. I don't know what it is. We're strict, but we're allowed to go out. The thing is, isolation is basically that you don't get to do what you normally do, like go to the mall with friends, hang out. The basic social relationships that we had that sometimes we took for granted before, we can't do them now. And that causes a lot of isolation. Just the fact that you are no longer in control of even your social life, that is the main trigger for the feeling of, wait, I'm all alone in this, and I need some sort of connection, but I don't get that. Yeah.
and these two are really very risky. Am I right?
Yeah, it's a really potent pair.
All right.
So if you put isolation and uncertainty together, that is such a potent pair.
However, it can be addressed. And then that's precisely why we have the masters here. Master in guidance counseling, am I right? Okay, to help us. Kasi alam mo, Lay, we deal kasi with children, di ba? Tapos all of a sudden, karon June, dapat gaatubang natakarog mga students. Kaso lang, we are at home, we are working from home. Pero ayan ang number one eh. How do we cope with this particular sudden change of our norm in teaching?
I think the first thing, dear teachers, is this. It's important for us to recognize that normal here no longer applies. It's the first thing. We really have to come to terms with it for us to be up to speed about what's going to happen next. So the first thing is, it's like you're going through grief. At first, you're in denial, and then you have to go through the stages until you reach acceptance. So the first thing really is to accept that the normal is no longer applicable in this situation. And then the second one would be to really find ways to connect. This is one way. That's why kudos to DepEd for having this, because this is one way of connecting to people, of knowing that there are people out there who know your struggle, who recognize your struggle, and are doing something about it. And third, you've got to take care of yourself. You have to have enough sleep. You have to let things go if you can no longer take control of it. So there are so many things actually for you to be able to cope up with this concern. But there are three things, easy things that you can do. First, accept. Second, connect. And third, take care of yourself. And faith plays such a huge role here. So don't forget to take care of your prayer life as well.
So that's actually through the acronym ACT. Accept, connect, and take care of yourself. Ma-insert ko lang, I forgot. Ano yung mga red flags na we have to take care, to be watchful of? Yung mga red flags natin.
Well, the most basic, and Dr. Miyako, I know, will be here. She's a wonderful psychiatrist. She will really go into detail about some of the telltale signs. But as a teacher, I think we already know this. If you've started to withdraw from social relations, if you cannot sleep, if you keep on worrying, if you feel like there's no hope, those are telltale signs that you are going through something serious, more serious than other situations that cause worry and uncertainty. And I would suggest that you try and talk to somebody, try to get things off your chest to somebody you trust. It will help lighten the load.
I have a message here from a teacher who raised a question a while ago. Sabi niya, I am already at my prime age, and then technology plays a vital role in the new normal. And it seems that this is giving me the jitters. Medyo takot siya dahil nga technology is very demanding nowadays. What advice can you give to these teachers?
First of all, that's a great question because I was not able to mention that even that can cause uncertainty and anxiety. Just the feeling that, wait, am I going to be in tune with whatever is needed to get the lessons out there? So that could also be a source of uncertainty. You know, I work with teachers who are not so tech savvy, and a lot of it has to do with attitude. I think it's not just say, oh, okay, we have to think positive. It's not just that, because really it's a struggle. So again, number one, accept. Number two, connect. Ask somebody for help. What can you do to help me? Look for your paugmangko and who's tech savvy. You know, some of our teachers we're going online at ABC Learning Center. They're asking their mga paugmangkon to edit their videos and all that. And then, take care of yourself. It's fine. You know, not all of us are tech savvy, but it's time to learn. So, still act, I guess.
Act. Ayun. At speaking of act, kami dito sa DepEd Negros Oriental, we keep on inspiring everybody to really stay connected. In fact, we always give them the tutorials, the webinars. You know, just as far as I could remember, we have some DepEd-endorsed webinars that can help us go through this. Anyway, may iba ako ha, kasi when we talk about this particular dilemma, it's not only teachers who will possibly be suffering from this. Even students themselves, even those who are directly exposed to gadgets and technology. My question is, as teachers, how could we possibly address this particular scenario when students themselves are directly affected?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question because at the end of the day, we're really helping the learners, Sir Rodel. Well, the first thing that I have to say is that you cannot help people if you haven't helped yourself. So the first step really of being able to help the students is to make sure that you're healthy too. Secondly, you've got to reach out. I know it's difficult. I've seen the data. Some of us might not have internet, access to internet rather. Some of our students might not have access to the internet also. Well, we have to find out how we can connect, whether it be through cell phone. Obviously, we can't do face-to-face. Whatever we can do, let's do to connect with our kids. And the things that we cannot do, we'll try to find ways to address that. In other words, don't take it like a big, huge problem that you're facing. Cut it off in little pieces and celebrate the small victories so that you are not overwhelmed by the responsibility. It's such a huge responsibility. Not all of us will be able to really catch up and solve everything. So celebrate the small victories. Padayon lang, bisag kanunay.
That's right.
Wait, padayon lang, kanunay. I don't know why I put the word bisag there. So
Padayon
you know what I
kanunay.
mean. Yes, that's what I meant.
And all the more we have to connect with parents, you
Yes.
know, with the parents, the stakeholders,
Yeah.
our officials, all the more we have to connect with them because as always said, it takes a community to really build a child.
That's true.
All right. And Lay na lang, ha? Miss Lay. Lay, kasi we have mental, emotional, psychological. These are the possible areas in our lives that are affected by this pandemic. Ano? What advice could you give us? Let's say mga physical activities that could help us nurture our mental health at least.
Well, for me, you start the day right. The first thing is you start the day right. Meditation is always good. Prayer is always good. You start your day sort of calm and composed. So that's the first thing.
Yeah, and I heard from one priest, sabi niya, very powerful daw ang Psalm 91.
Psalm 91
Psalm
is
91
beautiful.
is very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful prayer to reflect on when you wake up. The next would be, you're talking about activities. It's really basic. Take care of yourself. Eat healthy. Exercise. Have time to connect with people. If you, of course, we shouldn't be doing face-to-face. So if you can connect to people online. No, those are some of the basic things that you can really counter isolation and uncertainty. Talk to your principal. Ask your mom, unsa ba atong direction? Because those will help you sort of balance off the uncertainty. And always, always, as I said, celebrate the small victories. It does not, we don't get to, we just battle every day. So we shouldn't see it as a battle. We should go on every day with gratitude that we're still here and we are still able to work. So let's do it one day at a time, slowly but surely, kanunay. There you go.
Tinama niya na. All right. So, ayun, hinay-hinay lang. And then, if you would remember the serenity prayer, the courage to accept the things that I cannot change, the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's really beautiful, Sir Rodel. Yep, that's it. That encapsulates how we are going to protect our wellness throughout this season.
And of course, because teachers nowadays are highly exposed to social media, your thoughts on the posts sa Facebook that they are exposed to.
What do you mean, sir? Just very quickly, what do you mean, like social?
For example, di ba, always silang naka-Facebook. What's your advice to those teachers na palaging naka-Facebook in the light of how they treat these posts?
Well, for me, Facebook now is the way that we connect to people. I see nothing wrong with it, but just make sure you're careful with content. Content is key here. Try to have more positive posts rather than negative ones. I know there are a lot of negative things out there. Try to sala it if you can. I remember there was a time where there were a lot of debates going back and forth. I would just sort of mute that part and just focus on what matters. I can use Facebook to connect with friends, etc. So content is key. Just be careful about the content that you follow.
Okay. Personally, how do you cope with this? Ikaw, personally, may I ask you?
Well, as I said, we have our own struggles. Obviously, we have sort of the same struggles, but of course, there's a different set when it comes to the private sector. So we have our own battles sort of to fight. But how I cope with it, really, Psalm 91 is good, prayer is good, love of family has always been intact. So I guess I'm just blessed to have that to go home to, that when I go home to, I have a wonderful husband, I have a wonderful family, I have beautiful cats and dogs. So surround yourself with positivity and love. I know it sounds cliche and it sounds corny, but at this point, that's what we need.
So mga katala, it's act. You have to act upon the pandemania. We said A means accept, C is connect, and T is take care of yourself. To encapsulate this, we also have another meaning of act. Number 1 is appreciate what you have, diba? Care for yourself, and of course, thank God for everything. Yeah. Ito po, Miss Leia Janice Rimata Sikat Reyes, kompleto na yun, ha? Your final words and advice to our teachers out there?
Don't lose hope. Be positive about the future. Always remember, for every challenge, there's always room for opportunity. So let's seize the opportunity. Let's look at it at a positive angle. So much work to be done. Let's be excited about the change that is coming.
Thank you so much, Miss Leia. We will see you again in some other appointments at DepEd Negor.
Thank you. Congratulations, DepEd, and wonderful job on doing this.
Thank you. So ayan mga katala, that's only one of the two talks that we are going to give you in this episode of Tala Serye. This is Gracia Rudel B. Deloria saying, bring out the hero in you, dinhilang sa Tala Serye.